Oh.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Bustin, Beaks, and Chasin Tales. I'm Todd Hogan. I got my buddy Brian Johnson here, Nathan Overberg, and Ronnie Belfield. How's it going, guys? Turkey season's coming up quick.
We're all pumped.
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 Yeah, I'm past ready.
Can't get here soon enough.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan, you went to the NWTF convention,
One of
National
Man.
Turkey
Derailed.
Federation Commission.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. Again, that show, they didn't have it last year, so it was definitely a big turnout for this year, and it was a good time. Everybody turned out, and the show turned out real well, so it was good.
All right. Brian and Ronnie are being asses, so they're going to run the rest of the show. Couple quick things for housekeeping. Check out our Facebook page at Bustin, Beaks, and Chasin Tales. Check out we're putting a lot of content up to our YouTube page, Bustin, Beaks, and Chasin Tales podcast. Nathan, we've got a contest running through next Friday. The dates are, what is today? Today is the 10th, so it'll run through, I guess,
17.
Well, no, because it's going to start on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
it starts on the 12th.
Okay.
12th through the 19th. So tell us real quick what that is in case anybody listens. And
Yeah, we're just, again, trying to draw some attention to the YouTube channel because we plan on getting some content over there here real quick once turkey season starts. We're going to kick it off with my son's turkey hunt from last year. It's his first turkey. And we are going to, anybody who goes on, again, it airs Saturday. Anybody who goes on the YouTube channel and comments on the video, we're going to enter you into a drawing to win a Bustin, Beaks, and Chasin Tales hooded sweatshirt. So everybody go check it out on Saturday.
all right, that's Saturday the 12th, 12/22. So
Yes, sir.
we're gonna get right into it. I've got a bunch of questions. I'm gonna ask these three guys because they're much better turkey hunters than I am. But we kind of do this every year. Some of this may be repetitive from last year. I've tried to add some new questions though. And we'll just get into it. They've got some calls here. They might break out into some stuff. And we've got some more guys coming up in the next couple weeks that are nothing but turkey. If you haven't listened to the last couple, we've had some good ones. Nathan was live from the NWTF. You had your buddy Travis Ham, who, by the way, was successful last weekend in Florida and got him an Osceola.
Killed 2 Osceolas,
Did
him
he?
and his buddy. Yep,
2?
2 in 2 days.
Nice.
And then we also had the guys from the Turkey Hunter TV show that were on, and they were awesome. We got some other things in the works, so stick with us. But let's get right into it. I got questions for you guys, and you can just fire them up and go around the room and whatever you guys want to say. All right. Setups, early season. What kind of decoys you using? Where you setting up? Go.
Early season, one hen and field edge.
You want me to go next? I'll go.
Go ahead, Brian.
I
Whatever.
typically will run. I switch to avian X's. I really like them. I'll use like a quarter strut Jake. Usually like a feeder hen and a lookout hen. It's kind of typically I'll set the Jake up kind of a little bit behind the hens as if they're not interested in him, but he's pursuing them because a lot of times I'll trigger a big old Tom to want to come in and stomp him a little bit, get away from his girls.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of the same way. I'm going to throw quarter strut Jake out and throw a hen, maybe an upright hen, just kind of looking around. And I'm going to be on a field edge as well, just because I know at that point in time, when the season starts here in Missouri, especially, they're going to be kind of out looking and where they can see some stuff. So I'd probably be set up on a field edge somewhere out in front of a couple decoys.
Okay. Same question, late season, like let's say the last week in Missouri here, which would put us into May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, late season, I'm in the woods.
Yeah.
I'm in the woods.
So getting ready to say the same thing. I'm a timber guy when it comes to late season. Like it depends. I'll still go out, put them to bed if I can to see where they're roosting at, get an idea if they're coming off the field or coming from the timber. But I will typically go to, if I can find a ridge top with a logging road, that's where I'm at late.
Exactly.
Do you guys think? And again, I'm just going to ask. You guys are more experienced at the turkey hunting than I am. Is that due to pressure? Is that due what's pushing you guys to the woods?
that all develops into the pressure of hunters, the breeding, everything. Them gobblers are getting to the point they're wore out. They're not going as aggressive as what they always do.
Yeah.
You got to go into their realm because you could be a quarter mile away. That bird is not going to come to you. He's already dealt with the entire hunting season, breeding hens. He's not traveling no more than 500 yards.
And that's why I asked that, because I have noticed it. And again, these guys have killed a lot more turkeys than I have, but it does seem like the later you get in the season, that the less distance that those gobblers are going to travel. I mean, unless you get super late, I know that, it's kind of like the rut and deer season. They're kind of out looking for them last couple, but when they're still in the thick of things and trying to catch those hens before they go back to their nest, they're not going to travel very far.
Todd and I, we did a late season. It was a extremely late season. We went out, birds gobbled all morning long. It wasn't until 11:30 that we started getting a response, everything. Todd and I had to move into the timber. I'm working one bird this way. Todd looks and he says, "There's a Volkswagen coming through the woods." And remember that? He was in Strut.
It was in Ronnie's backyard.
Yeah.
Cool,
And
yeah.
he came straight
Cool,
through
guys.
there.
That's
And I just happened to turn and never even knew that bird came in, never gobbled a single time, but he came in and Strut in the woods, and he was that close to us. We were working another bird.
The bird you were working wasn't 40 yards off, but he was in the brush.
Right.
And you were focused on him.
Right.
And I could see, because I was sitting behind you filming. I was like,
Yep.
"There's another bird coming, Bob." And he kept looking. He's like, "Where?" I'm like, "Look to your right."
Yeah.
When it comes to that, I'm super impatient with birds gobbling. And I've noticed late in the season when they do kind of get quiet, I want to move. If I don't hear something, I want to get up and move. And I don't know how many times I've been burnt
Yeah.
getting up and I'll turn around and he's standing right behind me, coming
What I
quiet.
always tell you,
Yeah.
never move.
Yeah.
Never move.
And I'm a running gunner. I love to chase birds. I'm not a blind sitter. I will if it's an only
easy. You're
situation.
shedding
where
all my questions.
well, sorry, I'm just, but you get to that point of the season to where there's a lot of times you really kind of have to, it just takes messing up a bunch to figure it out, but their circle gets so small, they're not really coming to you as much as what they typically would earlier in the season. They'll answer and they'll respond. A lot of times it's like, "All right, you come to me." If you want to, because they think you're a hen, obviously, right? That's what we all want.
That's well put.
Yeah,
Well put.
but they want you to say, "Okay, I'm letting you know where I'm at, but I'm going to watch you come over here versus me coming to you."
Well,
And
I've said it before. That's nature, right?
right,
She's supposed to come to him.
right.
Mhm.
Nathan, you got anything you want to add or any other questions about that?
Well, no, I mean, we just talked about early and late. And I think even early it plays into that as well. I think you're best served to get where the turkeys are going. If you can be where they want to be, you're going to be a lot better off than trying to pull them the other direction, because
Right.
they're going to want to be where they hit. And the same thing as far as late season. And again, it goes more into pressure and things like that, but they're going to want to stay in that area. And if you know where that area is, head in the dark, quiet, and get where that bird wants to be, where he's gobbling, at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, trying to find that hen after the others have went to nest and everything else.
And you do realize that high populated turkey areas, the jakes are going to bombard you late season when that gobbler is not moving. And everybody always tells me, "Oh, I called in jakes."
We know a little something about them jakes, don't we, Todd?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I know they'll make the gobblers come in silent.
I know they're going to make some real dumb 2-year-olds this year. I know that. And I'm excited for it.
There were at least 13 last year running around.
At least.
I think they're all still back, and I think we're all going to put just an ass whipping on them.
Yeah,
It'll be a
I-
good season.
I think it's coming.
I really do. And that's where we're
Yeah.
hoping to get some good stuff put together for you guys. So
We kind of went over this one, but and again, it depends on the time of year. But if you had to pick one or the other, are you setting up on it in the timber? Or are you setting up on a field edge? Or just
I'll
depends
always-
on where the bird is.
Beginning of season, I'm always on a field edge, but you know me, I'm out there 3 days prior, roosting every bird,
Spooking them,
spooking them. I try to make every bird,
spook them off.
which Ronnie's right.
Yeah.
I do gotta say, it's high pressured. I got a lot of people. I go in, I make every bird call shy. I do.
That's what I love. I love to call. I love to
It's
call to a
impossible
call
hunt,
shy
you know,
bird.
it's
Yeah.
in the opening morning.
Yeah,
Because
there's-
if you don't know how to,
There's nothing more exciting than hunting turkeys silent. You know what I mean? Because
if you don't,
that's my favorite thing to do in the spring.
As soon as they
Is
hear a
to
hen,
call for 20 minutes straight and get zero response.
as soon as they hear a hen yell,
Yeah.
they're running. the
Yeah,
other
they go.
direction.
Yeah, they go to the next county because there was some dude stumbling around, you know, boogie boogie boogie, and all the
That's
turkeys.
Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Why is that here?
Yeah. So typically, I call Brian about a week prior to the season, ask where he's scouting, and I go about 30 miles the opposite direction. I've had my best luck there.
but Todd, has it not worked for me
Oh, yeah.
every year? It works. It works.
I've said it before. I didn't grow up turkey hunting. My dad was bass fisherman, bass and crappie. So that's what we did in the spring.
Yeah.
And so Brian and I started running around together when we were younger, but we started hunting together when we first got out of school, really. We hunted together before that. But Brian was like, you got to start turkey hunting. I'm like, But then you get into it and you're like, I do. It's freaking
it's a
awesome.
vortex. It just
Yeah.
It's I won't say it's better than deer hunting, but when you hear one, when you strike one up or hear one fire off, you're like, whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've said this for a while now, and I know everybody, and I hope to experience it one day. But you know, sounds you just hear out hunting and everything else. Everybody talks about the bugle of an elk, and again, I hope to experience that one day. I'm sure that's probably everybody's number one, but I'm telling you, number two is hearing that turkey sound off. That gobble is just something that there is nothing else like it, and I
I
love
agree.
every minute of it.
I agree.
I think that's my,
When you
my
got 'em in
second
your
favorite
face,
sound in the woods. Yep.
Just going at it
Mhm.
full nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this one. You've got one that you know you've got roosted, or that you come in and you get him to strike off the roost. Do you let him know you're there, or do you let him come down and then let him know? You call to him on the roost.
I give my fly down,
Okay.
and I take my hat off.
Yep.
I take my hat off and I beat it on my leg. The fly down, then you're done.
Do a cackle at all before you jump?
No,
Nope.
no.
Ronnie?
kind of really, I think I've had it work, and I've also had it help me or hurt me. So it's kind of, I mean, it's just turkey hunting, right? So you never know. Like this call worked awesome yesterday, but I could be doing the same call sequence and it not have any response. So I've done both. If I've set up on a bird that I know is close to me, most of the time I won't make a sound, especially if I've scouted them out, I see where they're pitching down to. I won't really make much of a sound. Now, if I'm somewhere new and I really don't know where the birds are at, I'll do some soft stuff, kind of right whenever they're getting before they fly down, say, hey, I'm over here, see if I get a response. And then typically I'll wait till after daylight to when they should be down to really kind of go into any kind of call sequence.
Ronnie, you remember me and you went hunting last year, and we heard a bird gobble first light, and we snuck in, and we were virtually almost underneath him,
Mhm.
and we backed off, and come to find out it was Jake's. But
That's well, and honestly, I was going to say pretty much exactly what Ronnie said. I mean, if you know, again, like we alluded to earlier, if you know where they want to be
Right.
and you know you're there,
Mhm.
don't say a peep. Let them come to you. I mean, that's hunting. You don't ever want them to know you're there.
Patience is always the biggest thing in turkey hunting.
Yep.
It's patience.
But like I said, if you're hearing a bird or you roosted them the night before and you know you're
Mhm.
within, but you don't know exactly where you're going or you're in a new area, I'll throw a couple soft tree yelps just to
Mhm.
say again, hey, I'm over here, just to possibly get them to push in your direction. Now, if they already have hens and they're going a certain way, or the hens are roosted on the other side of them, you're probably going to be SOL. But I mean, again, I think you got to try it if you don't know for a
Yeah.
fact where those birds are going, just to say, hey, or like Brian talked about, you know, the fly down, just something to let them birds know, hey, there's some other
Right.
birds over here. Come check it out. So
Have you ever got, actually has this question, and our buddy Brian, Jason Miles, he told me this is what he does. If he knows that toms have gone to roost with hens, he tries to walk in and spook them before morning and split
Right.
them up.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first time I'd ever heard it. But
Yeah.
not
I've
a bad
never done
idea.
that tactic on purpose.
I did it on.
So now I have on accident, but yeah.
And Brian does it in your backyard on purpose.
Yeah,
I-
yeah, just,
I do it in the fall, just because you know, the fall's a different story.
yeah, it's a whole different, yeah.
Because in the fall, you can do the lost call and calling everything in the
well,
woods.
they're trying to group back up then too,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
they're
Mhm.
trying to be in a big group. So
That's a simple call, everything in the fall. Anybody, most people don't, they're deer hunting. They don't hunt turkeys, but in the fall, it's a lost call. You just give a lost call and they come right in.
That easy.
Simple.
That easy.
It is.
You got one roosted. How do you know? And this, I mean, of course, everything is subject to change. We're hunting wild animals here, or at least everybody but Brian. His are caged.
Yeah,
But
and in my yard.
hunting him off today.
Yeah.
But you've got a general idea where he's at. How close is too close? I mean, you can push the envelope, but what are you thinking? 80 yards? I mean, he's up tree. He can see a long way, especially in early season.
I try not to, like I just told you, me and Ronnie, we snuck in. Normally, I don't go 100 yards, but I kind of figure out if he flies down where he's going to go, where the hens are going to be, where he's going to strut. The strut zone is the huge strut zone.
That's where your patient turkey hunter really
Yeah.
puts tags on them, as if you can get to where they strut and you can be patient enough for them to get there.
my grandpa.
Yeah.
And that's what when I first started going, that's actually what turned me off from turkey hunting, is because my grandpa was to the point, he knew where them things were going to
Just
be.
go sit.
And he knew
Yeah.
they were going to come through
Mhm.
there at some point in time and come out there, strut, look for hens or whatever else. And I'm just like, man, this is
Mhm.
boring as all get out. I'm just, the heck with this.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, Ryan, I like the run and gun. Just because it's the change up from
Yeah.
deer season.
Yeah,
It's just a whole different speed. I love doing it, but like you guys alluded to, and any experienced turkey hunter, like your guys selves will tell you, patience is going to kill way
Oh,
more
yeah.
turkeys.
Your
than
run
anything
and
else.
gun is always early season, run and gun when the birds are fired up. Yeah, I'm all for it. You go midway, late season, patience.
Well,
Patience.
run and gun. I think it's all about being able to get those birds gobbling to
Yeah.
locate them, so you can get
Mhm.
set up
Sneak
in the
in
right
on 'em and
spot
get
to
'em.
try to bring them to you.
But remember, Todd, this bird right back there. Remember him? You killed your bird, and I told you just sit, because that was mid-season, wasn't it?
No, that was opening morning. Remember, it was snowing.
Oh, it was snowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the birds were quiet. They
Yeah,
they
didn't
came
do
off.
nothing.
They came off the roost gobbling everything in 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Everything's gobbling, going nuts. Todd kills his. And I told him, just be patient, sit here, because everything was quiet. Next thing you know, Todd said, hey, we got one coming.
It hadn't been 20 minutes from when you shut yours.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's still the case. You knew where they were going to be strutting.
right.
So
You're exactly right. Middle of the woods.
yeah.
Yeah.
So looking through some of my questions here. You answered the one about the fly down sequence. Nate, do you do it at all, Ronnie?
fly down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it. My dad's first bird that he killed, I called in for him probably, oh my gosh, 10 years ago now, I guess it was. He had never killed a bird before in his life. And I did that same thing that morning. I did some soft calls, got him to gobble, and he kind of seemed like he was hanging up in a tree for a little while. You could hear other birds around, their tones had changed. It sounded like they were down. I did that, and it was like literally a minute.
Really?
from when I did that to where he was on our lap. So I guess that triggered him to think, okay, well, she's obviously on the ground now, and he heard the other birds around him, and I guess he come in for the competition there. But I have done the fly down, and it does. I don't do it every time. There's like situations that I'll, use that, but it is effective.
Nathan, do you try it?
I've tried it a couple times. I don't, if the bird did come in as a result of that, it was a little bit later, so I can't exactly contribute the kill of it to the fly down sequence. But again, I believe it's effective as well.
The guy I learned from, Don Nelson, he's phenomenal.
The ledge.
Phenomenal hunter.
Ledge.
They call him the legend. But I was a kid hunting with him, and I kid you not, he wouldn't make a call, anything. A bird would gobble, we'd move in, and he would take an old dried up wing and smack it on his leg, and then rustle the leaves, everything. He was a genius. And that's where I picked up everything as far as you don't need to call. You don't need to just really be aggressive. All it is letting them know, hey, I'm here.
And check it out.
I've seen Dave Owen on the Peyote project where you can see him on, because he's got the camera on his offside, and he just away from where he thinks the turkey's coming, just takes his hands and scratches in the leaves, and it goes on forever.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
All you're gonna make them do is you're trying to make them think, I'm up here feeding. If you want to
Yep.
come up here and hang out, come on.
Mhm.
And I've seen several people as well, actually, as they're walking through the woods, they'll take a couple steps and they'll stop and,
Scratch.
scratch
Mhm.
with their feet and everything else again, and you can get by with some walking. I mean, you want to be the opposite hillside or, over the top of a ridge. You don't want to be able to lay them eyes on you, but you can get by with some walking.
Right.
If you don't,
Right.
if you're not just
Yeah,
stomping
just a
through the
steady
woods
pace,
like a
yeah.
human.
And I think that's where most people screw up, is because they literally go to the woods and it's nonstop calling. And that bird, he's interested, and all of a sudden he realizes something's off.
I did hear something the other day. I was going to ask you guys, you ever heard this? Hey, you've heard this story, you can't call a bird uphill.
Mhm.
So I was listening to a podcast, and it was Will Primo. And he goes, my theory is, one, he can see downhill a lot better. And two, it's a lot easier for him to take flight moving downhill than to get that fat ass moving and take flight going
Right.
uphill.
Right.
So that was one I never even thought about. I was like, well, there's something to it, but I didn't know why.
The one thing that I have learned over turkey hunting is a creek that will stop them. They'll strut on that side back and forth and just stay there for hours strutting. A fence line.
That woven wire fence not too far from Ronnie's. Remember
Oh,
that?
yeah, back to
Yeah.
my house. Yeah.
Man,
A lot of turkey stories here.
Ronnie,
That's
can I
great.
come turkey hunt
Maybe
your
come,
house,
yeah,
buddy?
maybe everybody should come to my house and turkey hunt.
Awesome. Always need new spots to turkey.
Yeah.
hunt.
Hey, the thing about it is I've been hunting that for 30 years. Ronnie bought a house there, and which we have hunted together over there.
Yeah.
But it's a ton of turkeys, just a ton of turkeys. And it is a thing that the population moves in, and you got to figure them out, because everybody's hears that gobble and everybody's going after it. And I know Ronnie hates me for it, but I do make him call shy.
Yeah.
Not 300 yards from his house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what if you ask people, like, what's the most exciting thing about spring turkey hunting? That, like Nathan was saying, you hear him gobble. So that's what I really like, is when somebody comes in to make them not do that.
Favorite part about turkey season?
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
parts.
My favorite part of turkey season in the spring is to hear him gobble. And that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because,
Nothing like deer hunting for turkey.
right. Just let the locals come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he could have killed that turkey that day. He was strutting on the other side of that Roman fire fence.
Yeah.
Ron's like, oh, he's up there. And he's
I'm
like,
afraid I'll hit Ronnie's truck with the shot,
"See that greenhouse right there? That's
Yeah.
Ronnie's.
Yeah. I don't want to mess up his sighting, so I don't want to shoot at that one.
I don't guess he's home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine, guys. I'm glad you guys enjoy killing little turkeys off my place.
Oh,
We don't kill them off your place.
Oh.
We drag them off your place and kill them on the other place.
Yeah, right, yeah,
right across the fence.
yeah. Yeah.
Set up right on the fence line and pitch down to you.
Neat, yeah.
All right, here's one. How do you hunt end up gobblers?
I hunt where they go.
Try to
So
get ahead of them.
I scout a lot when it comes to spring turkey season, before and during the season. So there's one farm I hunt that it's loaded with turkeys, and there's a lot of turkeys to hunt, but they're hard to hunt because there's a lot of turkeys, if that makes sense. It's hard to get to them because they usually will, once they group up and they start following each other around, it's really tough to get to them. I watch to see where they move to. And then that's a tactic where I really won't call much at all. If they're henned up real bad, I will try to stay quiet and just get to where I can maybe get them to come past me.
For me, if they're henned up, you know this, I wait till 11 o'clock. I wait till 11 o'clock. Most of the hens, they're going to their nest, and that's whenever they respond. I don't hammer when they're all henned up. I don't hammer them. I wait,
We do a lot
and I
when
wait
you're
it
talking
out till
about that, it's
late.
usually we do a lot of deer hunting for them.
Yeah,
And then you're like, now we go. And then we just start chasing.
right.
The
It
most
it's always a little bit later because them toms are strutting and they ain't moving. They ain't moving if they got hens.
Well, why
They're-
would they? They
Yeah.
got what they need.
They're not moving.
see,
But usually later in the morning, those hens, when they go to tend their nest, everything, I'll wait till later and I'm like, it's on. Let's do it.
a tactic go ahead.
No, you're right.
Oh.
Good.
A tactic I was introduced to that has been very effective for me is reaping them.
Nathan?
Whenever they are piled up with hens and a call don't work, you get behind a fan and crawl right out there with them. And
And that's what
There's
I
a-
was getting ready
Yeah.
to say. I'm gonna go the opposite of what you guys did. Patience and everything else, but the one thing I have had work for me on a number of birds the last couple of years, and it actually just worked last time. But what you want to try to do with the reaping, if it's legal where you hunt. And again, a lot of people get a pleasure out of, calling a bird in, and I got no problems with that. But I'm going to try to a henned up gobbler. If I can put my eyes on him and I can use the terrain that I have to get within what we call his bubble. If you can get within 100 yards and take a fan decoy and pop up with 100 yards of where that hen is at, 9 times out of 10, he's going to turn around and that head
your
is going to
face.
turn and he is going to be in your face in a hurry.
Mhm.
And it just, again, if it's legal, I suggest you to do it because it's an absolute blast. But that's one of the times that I actually get
Yes.
real aggressive. If I know where they're at, I know what they're doing. And especially if there's more than one gobbler there, if you got 2 gobblers together around a couple of hens, 2, 3 hens, and you're a single
Mhm.
gobbler come pop up, man, they are going to come try to put a whooping
Yep.
on you. And last year in Indiana, we actually didn't have the terrain in our favor. We ended up getting it in our favor, but we're sitting on the very top of this field on the ridge, and they come out down below us in this low spot. And there was 3 hens and 2 toms, and they just started working away from us. And we're like, the heck, I mean, we had birds gobbling all around us, and we're like, the heck with it. So went and got by and literally belly crawled, and we ended up, I measured out on Onyx, it was 450 yards that we belly crawled. Luckily,
You
we
earned that
got,
bird.
you better believe it. We got down to the low spot because they actually went over this little rise and we got to there. So we got to crawl the last, I'd say about 50 yards. But again, it goes into that terrain. We disappeared, they thought nothing happened. And then all of a sudden we popped up
Mhm.
right there,
Mhm.
fanned out. And I mean, them suckers turned and were coming in hot and heavy. And again, if you can lay your eyes on them and use the terrain in your favor, you can get a bird down in a hurry with that fan decoy. for
I
sure.
love it. I love reaping at Kansas.
Yeah.
My
That
goal-
Kansas with the open prairie reaping, that's a blast.
My goal is to get on film Brian reaping one, and instead of shooting it, catching it by the back legs and just letting it flog the hell out
That'd be cool.
of it.
We already got video of one flogging the hell out of me. You know that.
He shot one. It was the first year we were filming together, and I was worried about the film getting good footage. And he went out there, and this thing, he's trying to break its neck, and it's nowhere near dead. And he keeps looking up at me, saying, "Need a little help?" And I'm like, "You got it, buddy." And he stands up, and the bottom of it, he had like one of those leafy outfit suits on. It was just shredded. The hooks had just destroyed it.
I grabbed that bird by the neck and I'm trying to wring its neck, and I knocked that bird out temporarily. And it came to, and I was holding the bird by its neck, and this thing was full alive, just thump, 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 and it ripped my suit, everything.
It looked like when he first started with it, it looked like something out of the WWF because he was rolling around with it on the ground, and then he finally got airborne. And he was about to take flight with Brian holding on to him.
And this all happened within like 10 seconds.
And I don't know how many times he looked at me like, "Are you coming?" And I'm like,
Hold up here.
I was also going to say about belly crawling was 4 or 5 years ago, I sent my daughter with him during youth season so I could take my son. And I picked Kaylee up, my daughter, later in the day. And I go, "Well, how was it?" And she was like, "Oh, it was fun, Dad." And then she goes, "We belly crawled about 100 yards." I go, "You got the Brian Johnson experience."
There was a guy I took out in Indiana last year after I killed my bird, and this guy is a duck hunter, duck and geese hunter, and he, you stay in a blind, you take a
Yeah.
boat up there, you don't move around a whole bunch, and we got this strip that was pretty long, and we needed to do some walking, and I don't think this poor gentleman knew exactly what he got himself into, because he asked me for a new pair of socks. He wanted to go change his boots. I mean, it was a rough day for him, and it was just a bad day. It was really warm. It was overcast. It was like misty. It just wasn't conducive to birds talking a lot. So we were moving, calling, trying to get something struck up. And I don't think, and again, like I said, I belly crawled 450 yards for that bird. There ain't too much at this point in my life while my body's still willing that I won't do to kill a bird. So he had a rough day that day. And Donald, if you listen to this, I'm sorry, buddy. I owe you a bird this year. Indiana, I got you.
Oh, yeah. It's some days you can sit and they just walk right in on you, and some days you got to walk
Thanks.
shitload.
Yep.
How you guys work a hung up bird? Let's say he's hung up. You get him within 80 yards. What are you doing? Is
Shut up.
that what you do?
Yep.
Exactly.
TSS, let it fly.
Yeah. Let a rip, tater chip.
No, listen, I do have I have a little
308 will
story about
take you
this.
down.
22
Right.
mag. Yeah, you gotta really close the distance up. You put the
I
odds in your favor at that point.
I was hunting with a buddy last year, and we were laying down in some grass behind this reaper, and we had 3 birds coming in, and one got a little further, and he was hunting with his youth model 20 gauge that he'd hunted whole season last year as a gunny. First ever killed a bird with just a little break action. I mean, the barrel wasn't it looked like that barrel was about 18-20 inches long max. No screw and choke, no nothing. So the one bird was kind of coming a little quicker. So I said, hey, you take that front bird, I'll take the back, because I had my 12 gauge. And so I told him, you call it, so he's coming, and we're laid down in this grass, and I hear 1, 2, and then nothing for like 15 seconds. I look over at him, I'm like, what are we doing here? And so they kept coming. Well, he ended up finally saying 3, we shot. And my bird dropped, and his ended up going and flying off. I mean, you could tell he hit it. Boy, he ducked his head, and he ended up getting getting flight. And we went out, and he stepped off where his bird shot to, and it was like 37, which was a little much for that,
Yeah, it's a poke
you know,
for that.
for the gun that he
Yeah.
had. And we ended up stepping mine off. And again, I was just waiting on him to call it. We stepped mine off and it was 65.
That's a long ways out.
And again, I wasn't shooting TSS. I was shooting longbeards out of my
Mhm.
gun last year. So
Well,
I was kind of shocked.
I've got this question. What shot's too far?
Well,
Over 65.
yeah. Sometimes like 20 is too far. You know what I mean? If you've been turkey hunting long enough, that might be too far. You miss it there.
I mean, I think ethically you want to get them inside 40,
Yeah.
40, 45.
Yeah.
I don't like shooting my birds with the long beards I shoot. I don't like shooting anything 20 yards closer. I like that 30-yard
Yes.
in it.
Well, you let
A
that
lot
gun,
of
that
the ti-
pattern do what it's
Yeah.
supposed to do.
And
That
you hear
20,
about
30
all these
yard
people
zone.
and everybody's like, oh, I got a pattern this tight. And they're like, and I'm sitting there like, man, you don't want that because
No.
I've missed birds at 20 yards. I like that 30-yard where you got
Mhm.
that 14 to 16-inch pattern.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
That
evenly
is my
distributed.
choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, the chances of that bird dying are extremely good at that
Yeah.
distance for sure.
Brian,
I have shot him at 65 plus.
Eh,
we run one time in Ronnie's backyard.
Cool. Yeah.
And,
Again. Yeah.
I was
Man.
filming.
We keep circling back to this.
I was filming for Brian, and I was holding the camera up, and I was standing in the brush, and Brian was like, "There he is. How far is that?" I go, "He's every bit of 70." Brian goes, "I think I can take him."
I can do that.
Ronnie, I'm feeling kind of left out here, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know what the group
You know
has
what?
done at your house, bud.
Just come on over. Obviously, you don't even need an invitation.
Right.
There's not been one time I've told either one of these guys, "Hey, come on over here." So,
As long as I can get in there and shoot, and get out before you get up
yes,
there,
yeah.
I'm good. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, there's the invitation. Just tell everybody what's your address.
Yeah. Throw my address out there.
He's got good birds.
Yeah, I got good birds.
I don't know if y'all can tell, but we're all jacked up for turkey season. And the bad part about it is we're over a month out. You season
Yeah.
comes in a little earlier than that, but we're a month out and
Well, it's
man.
40 days. I counted it yesterday.
Yeah,
Right.
that's depressing.
There you go.
Yeah, they're calling for more snow tomorrow.
Neat. That's what I like.
That's awesome.
So, I'm trying to think here. If I think I know what Brian's is, but like, what's your one go-to call? What if you go and take one call in the woods with you? What do you take?
Mouth call. If
BJ?
I got to grab one, that's all I'm grabbing.
Okay.
My voice.
Yeah. What I was gonna say, but the old black diamond ears,
Yeah. Black magic.
black magic. Yeah.
I mean, I'll always have a mouth call with me just because I mean, like Ronnie said, that's easy as it can be. But to do everything that I know that I'm gonna need to get a bird in, I'm gonna want that Brad Roberts pot call that I got, that aluminum over slate. That way I know I can make any call I
Yes.
need to effectively for sure. I wish I was good enough with a mouth call, but I'm not. So
Yeah. You strike up a bird that's hot and you're close. What do you do?
You got to wait on. That's if he's hot and he's answering. It's not giving a yelp. It's nothing.
If he knows where you're at, do you keep calling or you just shut up?
No. If that bird is coming and gobbling, you shut up. If he gets close, rustle the leaves, shit like that. You don't. The more you keep calling, he's going to hang up and go in the strut.
Yeah. At that point in time, it's how you come. Now you can come to me. So
I think, and again, I may have taken this a little bit differently, but to me, I immediately, if I hear him strike off that close to whatever I've made, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking for my setup, because the one thing I have learned in the last couple of years, and again, learned from my mistakes, is that your setup is everything.
absolutely.
In order to get that bird killed. You can do the best call and everything else, but if that, he periscopes that head up and he is able to get his eyes on you before you can get yours on him, you're in trouble. So again, I'm looking for, a little bit of a rise, a good backdrop behind me. So, he can't silhouette me. in any way,
Backdrop's
shape-
everything.
Yes.
Sun at your
mean,
back too.
yes, try
Oh,
to get
yeah,
in some
always try to
shade.
get my
And
sun to the back.
you're always in that dark shade.
Yep.
And I don't care if that sun is hitting half your body. You move over and you get in the shade underneath that tree.
I
That's
just,
a,
I learned that the hard way. Again, I should have a lot more dead birds than I have, just because. But again, I say it all the time. You learn a lot more from your mistakes hunting.
You do.
In your experience, because you
do.
remember them, because it burns your butt to get your butt kicked by these
Mhm.
animals. It does.
Yeah, there's one thing with blind calling. Like I said, there's the one farm we hunt's got this giant oak ridge top, and it's just there's always turkeys on it every single year. It's just they're always just there. Same like Nathan said, I've learned from, and I'm just as guilty as probably a lot of guys are. I'll be walking on that road, I'll stop and I'll call to see if I can hear one gobble to go to it. And there's been a lot of times it's been right on me, and I've had no time. It was just they were on me. So I learned now if I'm in a situation where I'm going to do some blind calling, I don't really know where birds are at, I'll look for that spot first. So, okay, so this is my exit right here. So if I get a bird crack off, I'll even get off the road by a tree to where all I got to do is just drop down, because there's been so many times I've been standing in the middle of a logging road, call, and either maybe have one gobble real close, or I've had a bird not even make a sound. I turn around and it's just there. Because sometimes it just happens,
I'm glad you said that, because it's one thing that I've done for the last probably 20 years. If I'm walking a logging road doing your scenario, I'll walk it. And the only thing that I do, I start out and is soft. I'll do that. And I work my way into a box call, because you're exactly right. You don't know if that gobbler's right there or not.
I think that's kind of that rule of thumb, though,
And-
isn't it? I think any again, extremely experienced turkey hunters is going to tell you, no matter what if you're in a blind, if whatever you're doing, you start off soft,
You
because
do.
you do not have
Exactly.
any idea. Unless you know where that bird is and he's already talking, you start off soft and you work your way up from there.
Right.
Nothing worse than seeing that head pop up and that snoot that's hanging down below his mouth all of a sudden shrivel up on top of his nose.
Yep.
You're like, well, we're screwed now.
Yep.
Mhm.
You see that old redhead. Well, if you guys do, check out the video on Saturday, but that's the trouble we almost got in, because I hit that wing bone call. I didn't hear it because we were still getting set up in the blind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still getting it because, of course, I'm my wife and my kid, and I'm dragging them out to the woods. We're running late. It's already daylight. And I hit that wing bone just as soon as we get in, just to kind of because I'm figuring they're down already. And so my wife's like, I think I heard a gobble. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Because I didn't hear anything. But again, I'm rustling stuff, getting stuff set up, getting his gun, getting the camera out and everything. And I mean, sure enough, I'm not kidding you, literally get settled in the blind, look up, and that's where the footage starts. There's 3 redheads directly across the field, just staring right at us. And I mean, how we ever got that done with two hunters that have never done this, you probably are going to hear me say, boy, stop moving, about 400 times in this video. But again, somehow we managed to get it done. So
That's exactly what Brian says to me every time we hunt together.
We'll stop moving.
Yeah.
boy, stop
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have to shit. Hold still.
Yeah, just do it. It's gonna be fine.
I'm running through some of my last questions here. Be your best advice to a new hunter.
Patience.
Patience, put in your time scouting. If you're new to it, season's coming up. I mean, honestly, here in the next week or so, I'm going to start getting out listening. Weekend mornings, I'll be out watching, see if I can see where they're moving to, hear where they're gobbling at.
Think they're gobbling yet?
I would say here in the next week or so is whenever I really start listening.
It's supposed to get warm next week too.
Yeah. So usually
I've heard guys already say they've heard birds, but I've been out there shed hunting, and I heard one bird sound off right off the bat.
a lot of
and it
times
was
it's just
because-
the location.
It was because that on 67 highway, a fire truck.
Yeah.
Shot gobble.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
Couple years, well, it was last year, the year before, I was texting you back and forth. I was deer hunting. It was mid-October,
Yeah.
and this thunderstorm rolls through. And Nathan goes, "Well, I'm gonna bug out." And I'm sitting in my shanty. I'm like, "Well, I'll just sit it out." When we're talking a thunderstorm. I mean, crack, and probably rained an inch. I
He
was
sent me a picture and that food plot in the back looked like a lake.
Yeah.
It
But
was
every
nothing
time there
but
were two
water.
of them off the hill, and every time the thunder crack out here, and I think I tried to get the video of it. You hear this. I was like, "What the hell's happening?"
Yeah, I've heard them gobble year round. I mean, it's been anytime of the year
Yeah.
I've heard them gobble. A lot of times it's like a hey guys, I'm over here kind of thing. But I would say here in the next week or so, we'll probably start hearing them.
I can tell you this much. My wife, when I took her deer hunting on opening day of gun season, a storm came through. Birds were 200 yards from us. And it was storming, thundering, and we heard a gobble, and I got footage of it. I got some awesome footage of birds gobbling, flying down, and gobbling opening day of deer season.
So probably like the 13th, 14th of November.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got you make your mouth cow there.
I got one here. Yeah, no, that's the
Um,
can of mine. Beer.
See if you can you give me a call, something where you're trying to piss the hen off to bring a
Yeah.
gobbler to you?
That's always been a solid tactic. Is when you say that, if I hear a hen, I mimic her every time. So a lot of times you hear people say don't overcall, and I'm a firm believer because I used to do it. Call because I want to hear one gobble so bad. Will you overcall? You know, and that's a thing. But if I'm out there and I hear a real hen talking, as she's calling, I'm interrupting her because it's just now it's a dominance thing.
Yep.
So I'll call as much as I hear a real hen call. But you get that like cackle in there to where it's like, okay, she's getting upset, and that usually will start driving that bird nuts. And that's always a go-to call for me to get a bird struck up is a real excited hen yell. And that's always been real good for me. But I'll probably mess it up now that we're doing this.
I like it.
Yeah.
No,
And-
anything gobble?
Listen real close, you know. And these slates, I was in this guy's wedding, and this was his present for being in it. I don't know who he was, but slates are excellent. This is probably my favorite to cut on as a slate, but
That scenario there,
whammo.
any hen that comes in and busts you and is like, you can interrupt a hen with exactly what Ronnie just done and just keep going, and that gobbler won't know the difference.
Drives him nuts.
Drives him nuts, still come in because he's hearing this hen and she's giving an alert signal, but he's overriding it, and it just gets them fired up. They'll come in.
That's that on my boy's hunt last year, towards the end of it, right before he killed that bird. That's all of a sudden I got that hen talking.
Mhm.
And I was actually purring and doing some cuts on the slate on the backside of that thing. And she
Mhm.
finally ended up firing off. And you can see on the video that when she was talking, them three birds would go and gobble, and they'd take about 2-3 steps towards her. And then I'd mimic her,
Yep.
come back, and they would turn and they would take 2-3 steps
Yep.
towards me and start hammering at me. It was just a perfect scenario, but
That's
they
fun.
were coming.
That
but
is fun.
once those hens got fired up on the other side and we started talking back and forth,
Yeah.
is when those birds finally closed the distance enough for him to get a shot at them.
I'd much rather call a hen over a gobbler any day.
So when I'm hunting with Brian,
Mhm.
we're talking about not overcalling, but Brian's pretty much calling the whole time. But what he does is give me an example of just your soft purrs, and you
So I don't do a yelp. I don't do a call. The majority of the birds I kill all come into
The cluck and purr.
that's it. And I got to be honest. as much as I like yelping and I like hearing that bird gobble and the excitement of it. And if I'm taking a kid, yeah, I'm going to yelp and I'm going to get the bird to gobble everything. But if I'm going out to kill a bird, majority of the time, Todd can attest. That's my go-to right there.
It almost puts me to sleep because I've sat there for hours and listened to you just do that real soft and
Yeah.
nothing's coming. And I'm just like, well, I'll take a nap. You wake me when things get good.
Yeah. Just let me know when I need to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well, most of the time I'm filming. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, he'll either tell me or I'll wake up when I hear bang.
Yeah.
All right. I think I've gone through most of these questions. I got a couple scenarios for you guys, and you listen to them and then give me what you think you would do here. So listen to the scenario, and then you guys can give me your opinions. All right. Gobbler's going nuts in a large ravine, probably 350 yards away from you. You're on private land and it's mid-season. How are you working this bird?
He's in a ravine.
Big ravine, big hole. Kind of like that
And
one off behind where I hunt.
so you're saying he's not coming to you?
He's down in there going nuts, and he didn't, let's just say, because it's just a scenario, let's just say you didn't strike him up. You just heard him sounding off like he's excited.
First thing, if he's not coming, I'm going to either side of where he's gobbling. I'm going down in the ravine to drag him to me, because if that bird's in there, he's either number one, henned up, number two, already bred hens, and he's in a strut zone. He's not moving, so you have to move in, because most likely he's not coming up that hill.
What's in this same scenario? It's a relatively calm day and it's dry. How you get in there? Slow walking, purring,
Yeah. I'm gonna creep him.
Yeah,
And then also
scratching like you
yeah,
guys.
like I
I-
say, speaking
yeah,
earlier,
like
Nathan
we
was
talked
saying,
earlier.
Yeah, I'll do a little scratch in between just to make it sound like turkey's moving through the leaves.
Right.
Again, use your
Right.
terrain. I mean, that ravine you're talking about, a lot of the times with those and out there where we hunt, you'll have main points and secondary points. And I mean, again, and a lot of these guys, you alluded to Dave Owens, these hunting public guys. I mean, you have got to go way out of your way, but
Mhm.
again, if you don't want to alert that bird is there, you're going to have to. You cannot be doing this and making these movements where that bird is going to be able to see you. You're going to have something in between
Right.
you. And I think I would probably try to get on his level, work around the other side, work off that point, come back to him at his level, maybe get on, get on that
You got to
secondary
get at that
point
level,
and get as close
but
as you can to him.
on your way in, you're, like Todd said, if it's dry and they can hear you,
Mhm.
you're more or less every 50 yards or
Yeah, once you get, and especially if it's dry, like you're talking about, you get within inside 150, you better be taking a few steps, scratch, maybe throw
Right.
something out like that. But with that too, if you're throwing out some turkey calls, you better be looking, because
Right.
he could all of a sudden, you're getting close to
He
that
could shut
bubble.
up
He
and be
could be,
coming.
he
Yep.
could be coming. So,
Yep.
just make sure you're watching out in front of you. But again, walking slow
Mhm.
like that, scratching every once in a while is going to give you some opportunity to look out. in
and
front
I
of you.
always tell Todd this. It's every year, everything, I figure out the mood of the bird. Because we all know we've been out there. A gobbler has moods
Mhm.
of whether or not he's fired up, whether or not he's, calm where he's at, what he wants to do. You got to figure out that mood before you make the first move.
Mhm.
A lot of times I'll play some Barry White. You know, that's what I like to do sometimes, is just really set the mood. You know what I mean? I let him know what kind of mood, let him know what kind of mood I'm in. You know what I mean?
Feed him a cup of cognac.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes I like to say, hey, I'm over here. Maybe I'm in the mood a little bit. You know what I mean? Just
And what Brian just said, I listen, I call it, I refer to it as woodsmanship. It comes from experience. It comes from your experiences of woods, and just kind of learning when you get a certain response or how they're talking back to you, or again, if they're certain amount of time and you hear them calling in, or responding back to you in the
Mhm.
same spot, just knowing from your experiences what you need to do.
It
It is.
is that scenario right there. And again, I hate to say it, guys, and I that's why, and I know I don't know it all. I would say a novice at best turkey hunter, but again, guys like this, other people I've hunted with, I'm trying to soak up as much knowledge, the hunting public guys, Dave Owens, watch all these guys, because I hate to say it, they go out every day and they make mistakes too. You'll see, and
It's the
they'll
only way
talk
you're gonna
about
learn.
it on their videos. And
I've been doing it for 30 years and I still make mistakes. I mean, it's every season is learning.
It's a wild animal,
And you
I
can't
mean,
beat yourself up over it because every season is learning this and that. But you
and I
never
think
give up.
that's why we're doing this. I know for me, especially if I can, again, help educate someone or get someone in the outdoors or keep them from making a mistake, the mistakes that I've made or that I've seen other people's make in the woods to make them successful and get more people in the outdoors. I like I said, that's why I do it. And if we help anybody out with this, I'm happy as I
That's
can
what
be.
it's all about. Over the years I've soaked up because I knew nothing about it. Like I said before, my dad didn't turkey hunt. He was a bass fisherman. So what I know, what a large part of what I know is just watching Brian and being around him and having him tell me shut up and quit moving.
That's your best tip you get for turkey hunting, though, if you're new to it. He was talking about that earlier. Stop moving and be quiet.
I'm pretty sure one bird walked in and it caught me moving, and Brian shut this look over his shoulder like, I'm gonna knock the snot out of you. All right, a couple more quick scenarios, and then I got a couple questions for when we call it quits. Gobbler's out in the field. He has 5 hens with him. You're on private ground in his early season. How are you working him?
Reaping him like a mofo. First, I'm not even going to call to him. Not even going to entertain the thought of trying to call him to work to me, because the chances of me calling him away from 5 hens is like a negative 10% chance. So I'm grabbing a fan, I'm getting behind it. And in that situation, I crawl to the hens. I don't crawl to him. Because if I'm a Tom, which is what I'm going to portray, I don't care what he's doing.
You're going after the ladies.
I want those ladies. So I'm not going to try to go to him at all. I'm going to go to those hens, and me doing that is going to trigger him to intercept me getting to those hens, which then ultimately, a lot of times when you look underneath your fan, you're at 10 yards away. And so that's my go-to. I'm not even going to waste the time with the call.
Probably a really safe bet on public land where you hear somebody calling in the woods on their side to go run over and reaping them as well.
Public land, I'm gonna step away from that one a little bit if I'm hunting public. But no, private, I'm 100% reaping that turkey.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, unless I miss the shot, I'm gonna kill that bird. That's how confident I am in reaping turkeys.
Do you have a fan in front of your face? Do you have it on your gun?
I have a mount for both. A lot of times I hold it in my hand, because I'll keep my gun in my right hand, and I'll keep the fan, and I'll crawl on my elbows. And that way I kind of keep my hand up underneath my gun too, so I'm not laying in the mud or whatever else I'm crawling through. But Jeff Peel, the guy started Tacticam. He's the one that showed me everything I know about reaping. I went to Iowa. I went up there with Tacticam. It was a neat hunt. They brought
Awesome
me up to his
video.
lease. Yes.
Awesome video.
Brought me up to his lease. I had never hunted turkeys like that in my life. I'm a Missouri boy. I hunt more timber than I do fields.
Mhm.
And up there's way more fields than there is timber. So the chances of sitting against a big oak tree and calling birds to you up there happens, but it's not nearly as good as odds, because they'll get out in the middle of a 200-acre field and stay right in the middle of it. And there's just nothing you're going to do with them. So he showed me, what's important is you make a turkey think you're a turkey. After he thinks you're a turkey, you can do just about whatever you want to. The bird that I killed, and there was a guy that was with me, we doubled up that morning. Jeff Peel was wearing a pair of blue jeans, this hoodie, no gloves, no face mask. And everybody knows as well as I do, a turkey sees everything, right? So that's just how, once they think you're a turkey, they literally don't do anything else. The biggest tip I have when it comes to using a fan, never look over the top. You always want to raise your fan up above your head, look underneath it. A lot of guys will take a feather out of the middle to peek through. That works as well. I'm a fan of keeping it in my hand. Once I kind of get out there, I'll raise it up to where I can peek underneath it and lower the fan back down. A lot of times what I'll do when I'm in the situation, I'll pull the gun up to my shoulder, and just in one movement, I'll just throw the fan to the side, lift my gun up, because at that point in time, that turkey's got that look like, oh, wait, this isn't, and then it's too late. You know what I mean? But
well, Nathan, you about got gang raped by a whole group of Jakes last year reaping, right?
3 different times, as a matter of fact. Those Jakes liked me.
And you
last
live
year.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes, no, the first time I saw them was on the logging road back to your food plot, and I mean, they literally they come together like a gang. I just
Yeah.
saw the one at first, and then the rest of them just came in, and they literally walked shoulder to
Coming to
shoulder
fight.
right at me.
Mhm.
I'm sitting behind it, and they got within about 5 steps from me, and I'm just like, okay, well, I just stood straight up, and all they did was took a couple of hops and were standing at me 10 yards in the woods, just looking at me like,
Still thought you
that
were a
bird
turkey.
just got big.
Yep.
Like what just happened? But
Yep.
and again, they did it to me 2 separate times. But yeah,
It's all right, because we're gonna get our evens this year.
yes, they have some payback coming to them.
It's hard to compare deer hunting to turkey hunting. Which we all hear, just absolutely diehard bow hunters, right? I am dead even with spring turkey hunting, with bow hunting to me, just the drill and rush. But I always thought, man, having a bird come in gobbling and strutting, ultimate adrenaline rush when it comes to turkey hunting. Doesn't hold a candle whenever you're crawling out there with one. It's just, you want to talk about a whole nother feeling. I mean, your heart's pounding the whole time, especially every time you peek and he's just a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. And you're eye level with this bird, not leaning against a tree, not camouflaged, just out there with him. So that's a whole new experience.
I got one more scenario, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Let me get back to my notes. Late season, public land. Strike a bird up, and he's about 200 yards away on an adjacent ridge. How you working?
Go
him?
right at public land, go right at him. That's your only damn chance. I've done that so many damn times. That bird late season, if he gobbles 2 or 3 times, you gotta go. It's a roll of the dice, 50-50 shot. You gotta do it. Because that bird, you're not gonna sit there and you'll call at that bird, he'll gobble, you'll call at him. He's done that the entire season. It's something, like I said, I've done that a million times. That's one thing right there, blow and go. And I'm not like that during turkey season. I'm patient. But late season, public ground, high pressure area, you got to.
I mean, I think you're going to apply that. I mean, pretty well across the board when you're hunting public land. I mean, you don't have the luxury of just sitting back and hoping if you wish to be successful.
Right.
I mean, I think that goes with deer hunting as well. I mean, you can go sit on some field edges, and hope to catch one coming out to the fields or whatever. But if you're hunting public land year in and year out, you better be willing to hoof it and get into some bedding areas, because it just, the pressure that it gets, and like you said, the chances of, especially with turkeys, somebody else hearing that gobble, and you're just going to somebody else is going to be trying to close the distance as well. So
Second week, public ground, that bird has heard and seen everything.
Every option.
Yeah. And especially here, which I will say this, Todd and I, we've hunted many parts of the country, but we live in an area that every household, everybody hunts. Deer hunting, turkey hunting, everything. You have to get creative and do whatever you have to do. Our deer very rarely reach 6, 7 years old. I mean, Ronnie, you run a ton of cameras. How many 7 or 8 year old deer have you ever seen in our area?
Yeah, like a handful over the course of me running cameras.
Right. Nathan,
There's an entire
with the old
podcast
man.
devoted to a 9-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
The old man. That was legendary. In my lifetime of hunting, that deer was legendary.
Let me say this too. Nathan brought this to my attention. Last August, September, the 4 of us did a podcast on what we were looking for in the upcoming season.
oh man,
We were talking about the old man. Ryan said, and I quote, "Nathan, you kill him, I will kiss your ass." Well, we're waiting.
Ain't happening.
Well,
Ain't happening.
well, conveniently enough, there's a video here to.
Hey, I give him
There.
him his props.
Oh,
It
I-
was legendary, but I ain't kissing his ass.
way to be a crawfish. You know what I mean? Just
Back
Yeah.
out.
Brian thought that sucker was dead. He was safe.
I thought he was gonna die of old age.
You know, and typically in most situations, Brian doesn't have to have any wager to kiss another man's ass. But you know, this situation, I guess now that there's video, he's not going to participate. Whatever.
I think Brian just might have underestimated just exactly how hard-headed I was, because boy, after the year before, that deer got into my crawl.
Yeah, but three
Man.
years prior to you, he was in my crawl,
Mhm.
and I kept telling, and I would go out and I'm filming for Todd, and I'm like, you know, if the big 6 comes up, and Todd's like, oh no, I want beams. I'm like, dude, shoot this deer. And remember walking to the stand whenever the old man jumped up and beams, and I turned around and I told him, I said, holy shit, that's a big ass 6-pointer.
Yes, it is.
And
Yeah.
he was, I mean, in his prime, that was a giant
Yes, it
6-pointer.
He had a big frame for a lot of years, but I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
he was old enough in this last year, boy, he went downhill quite a bit, but it still doesn't take away from the story we got on that deer and the
Oh,
chase
yeah.
that it was to get it done.
If you
for
want to
sure.
hear it, there's about an hour and 10-minute podcast devoted to it back in early November. So,
Yeah.
or late November. Couple more questions and we'll call it quits. These aren't necessarily turkey questions. What do you hate more? Spring season. Snakes or ticks?
Ticks.
Ticks by far.
I don't care about snakes, and ticks.
I don't like snakes, but ticks, I ain't doing it.
Yeah, I'm not a snake fan
Yeah,
at
me
all.
and you were together. Ronnie.
And we spoke about this earlier. I think I've used every bug spray imagined that you could use for spring turkey season. Buddy of mine, Jason Kephart out in Kansas, has Deer Supply Company, makes a product called Bug Off. I got in contact. He and I was like a pro staff for a group years ago, just kind of always stayed in contact. He got a hold of me a couple years ago. He's like, hey man, I'm doing this. I want you to kind of see what you think of it, send me a bunch of stuff. Hands down the best tick or bug spray you're ever going to use. I've literally walked through I don't know if you've ever walked through like a pod of seed ticks, especially like August, September when you're scouting for deer, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I always spray down with that, and I just sprayed down with that, and I literally walked through it, and I didn't know it. I was knelt down checking a camera, and I thought it was like, you know, an old cedar kind of gets like
Mhm.
the crap that comes off the, you know, like a dying cedar tree. That's what I thought it was, but it was actually a pile of seed ticks, and they didn't move from where they were out of my jeans. And when that moment happened, I was like, that's some real stuff right there. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, it's not just a saying it, you know, to help the guy out. This was like a legit, holy cow, you know, like this is some good stuff. So I always spray down with that. So I usually keep the ticks away, but it never fails. When you're turkey hunting in the dark, I'm petrified of snakes. I don't look. If I'm after a turkey and there's one goblin, I don't even look at my surroundings. You know what I mean? There could be like an anaconda wound up behind a tree. There's a good chance I'm going to sit by it, not knowing it's there. But with me, there's been lots of times I'll be sitting there in the dark, waiting to get daylight, and I'll hear something moving in the leaves, and it's close. Okay. So in my mind, it is,
It's a
snake
box
every
turtle.
time.
it's for sure.
It's a box turtle
It's
moving.
going to be a box turtle or maybe like a skunk. But in my mind, it's like an 8-foot long copperhead
Yeah.
that's just going to attach itself to my throat, and I'm going to die out there. So I would much rather pick ticks off than nurse a snake bite.
Brian knows how I am about snakes. I hate snakes. And I'm much better than I used to be. I used to be petrified of them. Couldn't
Mhm.
hardly move in the woods, especially in the summertime. But we were walking out one time across this field, and Brian's, of course, it's like every situation. I'm about 10 steps behind Brian because he's got legs and he's running like 10-foot long legs. And he's running like his ass on fire. And I'm pretty sure he left me to carry all the camera gear and decoys.
Probably.
And he freezes in mid-step, and he just looks at me, and I go, what? And he looked back and he goes, just walk around.
Just
You would have shit yourself, because I went to put a foot down And I remember that snake going and just looking right at me, and this ain't gonna be good.
Yeah. I mean, if I get bit by a black snake, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm dead. There's a heart attack victim. I'm dead right there.
So this farm where we hunt, and we've all been there. You tilted up for me, and Brian's been out there hunting for me or filming for me. Nathan hunts the same farm. Well, the guy that ran it forever, he used to put the fear of God in me. He's like, a lot of copperheads out here, be careful. And so everything I hear, like you were saying, I'm just sure it's copperhead.
For sure, yeah.
I've seen like 3 of them out there, but I'm terrified that around every bend, every time I put a step down, I'm like, well, they blend in so well, you probably didn't even see it.
Yeah.
So
I don't even think about, honest to God, this time of year, everything. I can go in the woods. I don't even think about snakes. I don't think about any of that stuff. I really don't. It's like my mind goes from the fear to where'd this coon go, fall in a creek bed. And I got to figure out where every animal goes.
Well, I'd like to walk out there and Kevlar or something so I can make sure I don't get bit. You've all seen them. I bought a pair of snake boots that go up damn near to they look like, they look like hooker boots. They come up down near to my thighs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to figure like when Brian was a kid, he had to survive like T-Rexes and stuff. So snakes don't really bother him at all. I mean,
that's funny, but we're the same age.
Yeah. Well,
last question. Get one. You can't have them both. Mess of crappie or a basket full of morels.
Crappie. Crappie, 100%.
So can I have turkey breast with my morels?
You do whatever you want.
Okay.
You can only have one or the other. What I'd say.
That's a tough one. It's hard to beat crappie, but then again, it's hard to beat a mess of morels.
Let me open up that fridge door.
Here's my
thing. You guys tell me.
I can fish for crappie year round. I only very long. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get
you're
morels.
all right.
That's literally what I was just thinking about, because it is definitely much more difficult to get a mess of morels than it is crappie. So yeah.
I've been with Brian before. We were turkey hunting. We got into a mess of morels, and he said, "Fuck turkey."
Turkey hunt's over.
Use my language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turkey hunt's over.
I cut the decoy open and filled my vest in the decoy. Everything I had, I could fill with morels. That was the best
That's a
year
good
I
day.
ever had. And I let 2 turkeys at 100 yards just sit and gobble. And the whole time I picked morels.
Yeah. Turkeys will be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
My God, somebody might find these morels.
I am not letting this happen on my watch.
And that was in your backyard.
Cool. That's not surprised.
Well, the few times I've been with him filming and we've come into some spots where he knew he had morels, he'd send me to another pot. He didn't want anybody to know what
You go on over there, yeah.
He'd send me down to a bunch of cedars that the cattle have been walking through, and he's like,
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch down there. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not seeing it, dude.
It's not looking hard enough.
Oh, all right, we're gonna wrap it up because it's damn near midnight.
Yeah.
You guys got anything you want to add?
Nope. Good luck, everybody. Season's around the
Ronnie,
corner.
what's the name of your YouTube channel?
I just have it under my name. It's under my name.
Ronnie Belfield?
Yep.
Okay.
At Ronnie Belfield. Yep.
Don't forget to check out our YouTube page, or channel, I guess it would be. And what else? Anything? Nathan, we talk about the contest again real quick.
Yeah, again, if you're hearing this, hopefully we'll get it up pretty quick. But again, the video will be out Saturday. That is March the 12th. It'll come out at midnight. And all you have to do is go to the channel, Bustin, Beaks, and Chasing Tails, and watch the video, make a comment on it. And everyone that makes a comment on the video, we are going to put in a drawing to win a Bustin' Beaks and Chasing Tails hoodie. So everybody go make your comment, get entered in the contest, and we'll get your size and color and get you out a new hoodie.
Yep. Don't forget to subscribe to that channel. We've got most of the podcasts on there. And then we're starting to release some, especially right now, we're releasing some turkey footage. Nathan's boy will be the first, and then we'll follow it up with some other stuff. It's pretty much all I got, boys. We got 40 days, Florida's already open. I think Texas
Yeah.
opens next week. So
Mhm.
wherever you're at, get ready. It's coming. All I got to say is good luck and thanks for listening.
You think we
Yep.
can get you to stumble through the acronym for the NWTF again real quick?
WTF
Yes, yeah,
NW,
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
the
Nailed it.
Turkey Federation of Wild.
Yeah,
Turkey.
that's it, yeah, yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck, especially the youth hunters. You guys are up first. So.
Yep. Good luck. See ya.
See you guys.